hand as you go. Hit my hand as you go. Look up. Look up. Look up. Look up. Look up. Hit my hand as you go. Look up. You gotta look up. You don't miss me.
And don't you miss us either. We can't wait to kick off our second season. There's optimism and a lot of footballs in the air right now, with season openers almost here. So rearrange the furniture and make sure you've got one of the spots up front. The show's about to start. No time to run to the fridge now, because we've got your #1 team on Sportsline Friday night.
Hi everybody, it's that time of the year again. High school football season just about here. I'm Andre Morrow.
And I'm Steve Schneider. Tonight we're back for our second season of Sportsline Friday night, and we're going to kick off the preseason with a look at a preview of some of our local area teams.
And what a chore that turned out to be, Steve. The main reason, reclassification. The Louisiana High School Athletics Association created a 5th class for the state's biggest schools. Now for some, that change will create new rivalries, while for others, the competition just gets more intense.
If you can get in the playoffs in 5A, you got a pretty good football team.
That statement may be true. A new classification and a new district, but some familiar teams. Bel Air and Lee aren't expected to challenge for any championships, but traditional power Baker is certain to be a threat again. Among their returning stars, senior quarterback Gerald Sowell. He split time a year ago, but still passed for almost 1,000 yards. But is Baker hungry?
I'll be taking off.
Catholic High is, and the Bears are serious about that slogan.
They're good.
Only mighty Ruston stood in their way last year, and Coach Dale Weiner thinks his team can take it a step further in '91.
The attitude, the work ethic that's here at Catholic High School right now is something, you know, you strive to get that. We've worked hard to be where we are. We're not satisfied, and so we just keep working real hard.
They'll work with a lot of talent and depth, like quarterback Brian Andrews and running back Kevin Franklin, for example. CHS beat Denham Springs in the first round of the playoffs last year. Those two could easily wind up battling for a district championship this time around. The Jackets are always tough, and they always take their football seriously. Does Glen Oaks have the best quarterback in the state? A lot of people say they do. Eric Randall passed for almost 2,300 yards and 25 touchdowns in 1990. His team just missed the playoffs, finishing 7-3.
Several years ago when I came into Glen Oaks, I felt like the main thing we had to do was be competitive and get some people to respecting us. And I think we're at that level right now with the type of talent we got.
And this could be the year Gill and Glen Oaks get a lot more than just respect.
And Andre, what about 7-5A, another district that's loaded with good teams? Only 2 teams in this district didn't make the playoffs last year. South Lafourche will try again under new head coach Nessie Pierce. And the Santa Maria Gators will try to get back to the formula that put Doug Morrow's squad into the playoffs on a regular basis before last year's late season losses.
You tasted it, you don't forget how it tastes. The human mind's hard to fool, and I think that we got a little soft, and we just got to get back to the things that got us there. And that's hard-nosed football, good discipline, and everybody playing good team football.
East St. John was good enough to get into the postseason play last year under first-year coach Tex Galloway. And the team of the former Thibodeau assistant is basically back in the league he once knew. Central Lafourche lost some experienced players from the squad that took the Tigers to the 4th quarter before bowing to the Quad A quarterfinalists, but still figures to be in the thick of things with 8 games on the Trojans' home turf. The Tigers will be hard-pressed to top last year's success. It's only lost to state champ Ruston and a #1 finish in our goal line 9. Corey Owens is one half of a breakaway backfield tandem that Dennis Lorio will look to, picking up the slack left by the loss of Donald Harry. But the best running back probably belongs to another top contender, East Ascension. Tim Delmore racked up big numbers as a junior, even though the Spartans feature a pass-happy attack.
He's strong and can run. He's a competitor. I mean, you know, he's one of the best running backs I've ever been around in my life.
Quarterback Reggie Wheat is also back for another season, and so is one of his favorite targets, tight end Andy Webb. One thing's for sure, the fact that only 3 of these teams will make the playoffs this year should make the teams of 7-5A even more competitive in 1991. Next up, we've got a look at the new Quad A and Triple A classifications.
Some teams are looking for a chance to climb out of the cellar with the big teams out of the way. We'll be right back. Reclassification means more teams in the playoffs at the end of the regular season.
That's right, Andre, and the big question right now is who will turn out to be the powerhouses of Class 4A? Some of our local teams will now have a good chance to make a run for the state title.
3, 2, 1.
Ask the coaches in this league and they'll tell you this is the land of opportunity. Well, everybody does seem to agree the Capital Lions will probably roar to the district title in '91. The story in this league starts at the bottom. At least that's where Central used to be in the old Quad A. It's been 2.5 years since the Wildcats won a game, but new coach Leo McClure seems to think he can revive his alma mater. A squad of about 50 means they won't be outnumbered anymore, and they're not the only team that was 0-10 last year. Struma's Mac Evans is also glad to be out of the league dominated by Baker and Denham Springs. New coordinators Grover Perkins and Herbert Williams hope to lead a rejuvenated Indian attack that's grown in size from 30 to 50 in a year. The backfield of college prospects may also make a difference. 2 AAA schools of the past have moved up, but both still view the move as a better opportunity than being grouped with Broadmoor, Woodlawn, Plaquemine, and Donaldsonville. Zachary was a perennial kingpin in AAA. Doesn't plan on changing, even though the experience at skill positions is virtually non-existent this year.
Don't have the two starters on offense, 2 on defense coming back, and their linemen. The stables run dry in Bronco land.
At Walker, they're so glad to see this new opportunity. They've done nothing but eat and sleep football all week. Coach Bill Spears' camp is a novel approach to promoting the team concept, 24 hours a day on the campus. Only time will tell if it helps a team that graduated 21 seniors after an average season a year ago. As for the Lions, a winning tradition and a quarter-century of stability under Roman Bates will make this contender in the old Quad A hard to beat in its new district.
I know we got to play football. You can only do so many things in football, and we prepare ourselves for those things we think you can do it.
Only one team in the new 7 Quad A was Quad A last year. 4 teams from the toughest AAA district in the state joined the Terra Trojans. Head coach Mike Longmire knows 91 won't be much easier. As many as 8 to 10 sophomores may end up starting for a squad that struggled last year. Top returners include running back Pringle Powers, who powered his way for nearly 500 yards. Plus defensive stars, Brian Williams and Mike Moore.
He's not a big kid. He's just a competitive kid. He's smart, he's hard-nosed, and he does what he's taught to do. And Brian Williams has good football sense. He has a nose for the ball, and he'll be a big key to our defense.
Arch rival Woodlawn is now a district rival. The Panthers' Mike Mook is hoping a brand new quarterback will be protected by potentially the best offensive line the school's ever had. The lack of a big-time back means plenty of purple-clad runners will play in an option-oriented attack. Broadmoor will have to use a new quarterback too, and that's saying a lot since Reggie Hayes has spoiled the Bucks for the last 4 years. The offensive load now lands on the shoulders of Leon Griffin. Missed most of last year with an injury. Rusty Price is once again concerned with his team's depth with just 32 players, including ninth graders. McKinley hopes to make another move up the ladder. The longtime last-place Panthers finished 5-5 in '90 and were just one win away from a district championship.
We build it. We're on the move now, and we are going uphill instead of downhill.
And they'll be putting it up with the high-powered passing combo of Marvin Brady and Byron Green returning. Plaquemine is the team that stopped the Panthers on that final playing date last year, claiming their 6th district championship in the last 10 years. Touchdown maker Quentin Dokes is back for his senior season after 1,300 yards and 18 TDs in '90. C.J. Alexander has the team to beat, but faces a true test on opening night. Tangle with Thibodeau in the Louisiana Superdome. You know, Andre, at this point we should point out that more than just the teams we're previewing tonight will be covered during the season on Sportsline Friday night. A team like Hammond, who's now 5A, and of course the St. Charles Comets, who were so good last year.
Undefeated in the regular season. And another team locally who has been a power for a long time and always in single A, they're moving up to double A. We're talking about the U-High Cubs. More on them and others when we come back. With all those AAA teams moved up to Quad A, who is left now to take over the reins in the new AAA?
Well, Andre, it would make sense that now the teams in AA have moved up to AAA, at least most of them. There's still a few holdovers from the old AAA, but the AA teams will definitely have an impact in our area. Vanderbilt Catholic's second-year head coach Joe Claymont says AAA has the greatest football tradition in the state. But his Terriers and the Wildcats of St. James know history won't help a lot on the field this fall. In fact, Bill Holmes' second edition still only has 31, even though that's up nearly 50% from last year's troubled team. This school owns 4 state championships, but any injuries for either team would make it hard to improve on their performances last year. Here in Lutcher, they'd like to forget last year. The team won just 2 games out of its 10 last year. They've got a new coach, and the Bulldogs also have a new list of goals. Lutcher alum Tim Detillier has brought his winning ways at St. Charles back home, where he'd like things to be. Lutcher once was, make that twice, a state champion.
A lot of people say the Bulldogs can't be brought back. I don't know if they ever left. It's kind of like just kind of went to sleep on the porch. So we just came back to kind of kick them and roust them up a little bit.
That means no walking in practice anymore. A lot like Curly Hallman's. You play like you practice philosophy. Quarterback will be a priority for this team, and the Dogs have the duo of Vincent Franklin and St. Charles transfer Preston Roussel. Jimmy Dyke's Donaldsonville Tigers would like to repeat last year's trip to the playoffs. Although in a 5-team district, the odds are long that this new league would be quite as nerve-wracking.
It sure was, because it came down to the last couple of ball games. Everybody was tied, and we ended up with a 3-way tie for first place. I don't think it's going to be that bad this coming year. I think one team or 2 teams may end up dominating the rest of them.
The Tigers figure to be one, and the other is E.D. White. The Cardinals, who move up from AA, would love to win 12 games in a row like last year. They did lose 18 senior starters, but head coach Preston Lejeune has found a lot of ways to win in his 13 years at the school, and that doesn't figure to change this year. There are lots of possibilities in the 7-team District 7 AAA. The Coaches in this league still call it a two-horse race. The favorite, the Saints of West Feliciana. A powerful defense led by four-year starter and All-State performer Darrell Page returns almost intact for Bill Parkerson. He expects his team to make another trip to the playoffs. Clinton coach Curtis Varnado doesn't sound as optimistic. After losing 18 starters from last year's postseason participants, he describes the black and orange as green as grass. But his rivals say he'll still win a lot of games anyway. He did lose a member of his coaching staff to arch rival Jackson. If the Chiefs look a little confused, don't blame them. Jack Andre has just arrived to fill the void left when Keith Cox surprisingly stepped down last week after managing just 3 wins last year.
Let's go. I was just hired over the weekend. So right now we got some good kids, but we're having to put it together right now.
Kevin Owen says there's not much new at Live Oak, 4-6 last year. An experienced line and 15 seniors. The good news, a brand new backfield will switch to the option attack this year. Sullivan Catholic has all its backs back. They run the Delaware wing for Johnny Prejean. Defense looks like the problem here, especially up front where the first 7 are new starters. Bruley's Grover Harrison does his running from the wishbone. And at 6'1", 195 pounds, but just a junior this year, his coach Brady Perry plans on watching him run a lot.
Summer, Grover worked out hard in the weight room, and he went to the All-Star camp at Episcopal and was selected the most outstanding runner.
And the Panthers can support Harrison with 11 other returning starters from last year's 5-5 team. Finally, parish rival Port Allen, the only AAA holdover in the league, is now a district rival for Bruley. And the Pelicans plan on playing a part in the league race, too, now that the Plaquemines and Zacharys are a thing of the past.
They've been getting pounded for years, and now they feel like they have a chance to win. I know that, we went through spring, we had a real good spring, and the summer workouts have gone really nice. So I think in their minds, they really think they can win now.
Only 2 teams in 10 AAA had losing seasons last year. Franklinton was 4-6 and usually makes the playoffs. St. Helena Central has moved up from AA. The Hawks had a hard time in the lower class. Kenneth Warner leads what could be an exciting offense, but this new league may just be too much. There's A-Meet, who was 10-2 last year and has 71 wins the last 7 years. And there's Independence, a winning team last year that's loaded again.
We did get some bad news about our quarterback. We found out he was too old to play this year. So, but the kids are kind of rallying around and the other guys, and it looks like they're going to, try to put everything together to try to make up for that.
The fact that A-Meet and Independence are in the same district together again should just add fuel to the fire on the 6th playing date of this season. That's when A-Meet will come here to Independence, and it should be a dogfight. What comes to your mind when I say the word Independence?
Win. A-Meet win.
The Warriors will have to wage battle with a smaller tribe this year. But sometimes size depends on your perspective.
This is our year, the way I see it, from our hard work, dedication.
He's probably the most aggressive quarterback I've coached, and this is my 24th year to coach. He's the type kid that if you give him the ball on the 5-yard line and somebody's waiting to make a tackle, he's not going out of bounds.
And finally, there's a big play man at Albany High, and his team could be the sleeper of this new district. Ray Selders returns after a 1,000-yard season in 1990. The Hornets have most of their sting back after a 5-5 mark last year. Andre, at this point we should point out that more than just the teams we're previewing tonight will be covered during the season on Sportsline Friday night. A team like Hammond, who's now 5A, and of course the St. Charles Comets, who were so good last year.
Undefeated in the regular season. And another team locally who has been a power for a long time and always in single A, they're moving up to AA. We're talking about the U-High Cubs. More on them and others when we come back.
The U-High Cubs are going to try to make it back to the Superdome again this year, but the Cubs have their work cut out for them. This year, they're going to have to claw their way to New Orleans in AA. Every team in 9AA was classified that way last year except one, but that one is a big exception. The U-High Cubs, fresh from another trip to the Dome, have moved out of Class A for the first time in the school's history. But even at the next level, they appear to still be the team to beat.
Michael Shelby was the only offensive lineman that we lost. So we've got our center, 2 guards, 1 tackle, and a tight end coming back. So that's good.
U-High's traditional opener with arch rival Episcopal has been moved to the end of the schedule. And that game could be for all the marbles. The Knights were 7-3 last year and returned 15 starters.
At quarterback, we'll have Van Hiles. Last year, he backed up Bart Phillips, came in kind of like the relief pitcher. Van did an outstanding job last year. He averaged over 17 yards a carry.
Northeast is always solid under Mike Mullen, and 14 starters from last year's playoff squad should keep up the tradition. And the Wolves of Redemptorist figure to run in the middle of the pack, hoping to improve on last year's 3-7 season with 13 back from 90. Up is the only way to go for Parkview Baptist, whose numbers have really dropped off in recent years. That was a big part of last year's 0-10 collapse. And finally, there's a brand new team in this new district with a new coach. Clarence Buggs is our man in the field, and he visited Doug Williams at Point Capee Central.
We leave the football field, win, lose, or draw. I want whoever we play to realize one thing, that they've been in the ball game with the Cougars, and I think that's the thing I want out of my kids more than anything.
We'll have more with Doug and Clarence next week on Sportsline, and watch for our Class A previews next week on WAFB News. We'll be right back.
Next week is the Jamborees, then the start of the regular season, and then before you know it, Steve, we'll be in the playoffs for 1991.
And that's the most exciting time of the year, although when you think about it, every Friday night is exciting, the way the kids put out the effort and the heart that they put into these high school games.
And let's not forget Gerald Kimball and the Southern Jags. We'll talk about them every week. And, of course, Curly Hallman, his first year at LSU. We'll see how the Tigers are doing.
So make your plans to be with us here next Friday night as Sportsline Friday Night covers the Jamborees right here on WAFB.
We'll see you then.